Hey cupcakes, welcome back to my channel. Or to my channel if you're new here. It is time for our June wrap up, which I cannot believe. We have 8 books to talk about, and I'm on a time crunch because I'm getting to go out of town. So let's go ahead and get started with this video. June, so I'm a teacher, and typically summer is when I get most of my reading done. I will say June flew by. I mean, absolutely flew by. And as y'all know, I was on like a little hiatus. My health has been up and down. It's been crazy. Even right now, like my back is killing me. So, I didn't read as many books as I typically wanted to. My plan for the summer is to truly like get through a lot of my physical TBR. So all 8 books that I read last month have actually been physically here, which is really exciting. 2 of them are library books. We have I think 3 YAs. We have a thriller, a YA thriller. We have some romance. So we have a really, really good mix. So I'm really excited to share everything with you all. We had some bangers, we had some okay reads. So yeah, it was a pretty okay month. Luna is really trying to get in this video. Say hi, Loonies. Say hi, Luna. All right. Like I said, we are on a time crunch. So let's go ahead and talk about our first book that we read in June. So the first book that I actually read in June, which I did dabble in this book a little bit audio, and then I think I finished reading it via like physical copy. I will say, to me, I think I enjoyed the audiobook a little bit better than reading it physically, but I think that that is a me thing. I think that I'm really starting to realize that some thrillers I really do just enjoy listening to. Like, I just like being in that element, that vibe. I just picture it better. But it does depend on the author. And we'll talk about that more next month when I tell you about some of the books that I've read, because I've dabbled a little bit more with thrillers. But it is Listen for the Lie, which this book has been really popping off on BookTube. I've been seeing a lot of people reading it. You can get it from Book of the Month, so it's been very, very popular. For me, I do want to say shout out to Celdion or Keldion, however you say it. They did send me this advanced reading copy. This is already out. It came out in March. But I was really intrigued by this book because, without giving too much away, it's about this girl named Lucy who believes, and everybody else believes, that she killed her best friend. But she doesn't remember. And many years later, she's still puzzled about it. A podcast comes out that's like investigating the story, and she has to return back to her hometown, and you got to figure out the rest. For me, I don't know. It just didn't hit the mark for me. I did like the podcast elements. I did enjoy I do enjoy books that have multimedia, so like the podcast element definitely helped. I don't know. It just felt a little lackluster to me, and it could be just the place and space that I was in the beginning of June. Like I said, books just weren't hitting like that in the beginning of the month, and then it got a little bit better. So yeah, 3 stars, not a bad read, just not my kind of thriller. I just need a little bit more oomph, a little bit more just suspense, just a little bit more action. So yeah, Listen for the Lie, 3 stars. Wasn't bad, just need a little bit more from me. But I would definitely check it out if you're interested in podcast thrillers or anything of that nature. It's definitely a popular book. Next up, we do have 2 library books, and I really want to get these off of my TBR because I hate keeping library books for this long, but they are library books from the school that I work at. So it's not like, it's a public library. Nobody's checking for these books. But like I said, a big part of my summer goal is to read my physical TBR and get through a bunch of my series that I have like on my shelves and stuff. And just get through a bunch of series that I just need to finish. And this definitely helped with that. It's the third one. I hate this little shiny cover. There you go. The third one in the Natural series. Y'all know I've been ranting and raving about the Natural series. I absolutely adore it. I think that if you love true crime, if you love Criminal Minds, This is YA, but it doesn't really feel YA. I love this series. It is such a good series. I know everybody talks about it, but it truly is like really, really good. Every time that I'm in a slump, I just pick one of these up and I instantly fall back into this world, this found family. Like, it's so easy to just get back into a good reading space after I read one of these. So I only have, I think, a book and a novella left in this series, which absolutely sucks. But I'm really, really enjoying it so far. And I will say, like I said, I was in a weird space in the beginning of June. This was the least of my favorites. I did rate it, I think, a 3. I'll put it on the screen. Um, 3, 3.5. I, I hate how Goodreads doesn't have halves, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. Um, I truly, truly, truly love this series. I don't know what it was about this one in particular that didn't really hit the mark as hard as the last two. Um, with each one, you find more out about the characters and there's more character development. This one, I don't know. I just didn't feel like I really grasped a hold of the one character that it talked about. A majority of, like, I just didn't feel like I really understood her as well as I wanted to, or maybe as well as I did the last two books when they followed, those characters. I'm trying not to like spoil anything. I'll tell y'all which one this one is about. So without giving too much away, obviously this one is the third one in the series, so I definitely suggest that you read them in order or it won't make sense. Obviously, it follows Cassie, which is the main character, and then you find out more about Sloane, which I like Sloane, but she's like an oddball character. So like maybe I just wasn't as invested as her as the other characters. Um, I don't know. I can't say too much about this book. Like I said, it's the third one in the series. It was still good, and I can't wait to read the last one because the last one I think is everybody's favorite. But it just didn't hit the mark for me. Like, I don't know, but I'm still gonna finish the series, and I'm still excited to read it. But yeah, 3.5 stars. The last two are 5 stars. So, I mean, this one, like, it hit. It just didn't feel. It didn't give what I needed to give. The next book that we have is also YA. We have one more YA after this, actually. So this isn't the last YA, but this is a book that I've had on my TBR for a really, really long time. And I was actually, I think, supposed to read it in February, I believe. I think I was actually supposed to read it in February because I remember because it has this cute little chocolate cupcake on the back. So yes, so this book is Happily Ever Afters, and it is so, so cute. It's about this girl named Tessa who loves writing, like she gets lost in her writing, and she's a very, very good writer. So good that she actually got accepted into this special program at this prestigious school, and she's really, really nervous already, going to a new school, new area, all these different things, except she can't write when she gets to this program. She has so much on her mind, so much going on. She has a brother with disabilities that, overshadows some of the things that she needs in life. Her parents sometimes put her on the back burner, so she has a lot going on. And her friend actually says, maybe you need some inspiration, and actually suggests that, she finds a little bit more love inspiration in her real life that she can bring into her writing. I actually really like this book. It was pretty good. It was around 3.5 stars. The only thing I didn't like, which I think is a not a trigger. What do you call it? I think it's an ongoing theme. I don't like insufferable characters. Like, she had a good thing going for her in terms of romance, and she could not see it, and it took way too long in this book for her to figure it out. I don't know, so that frustrated me. So, and like I said, in the early beginning of June, I just wasn't about it. So I kind of lost patience with her, which brought down the rating. I love the natural hair representation. I love the disability representation. It did a very good job of showing what life is like when having a sibling with disabilities. So with all of that said, it has great representation. It's a great book. I think it's a very cute story, and I would definitely recommend. So yeah. three and a half stars. I think I'll say 3.5. It was definitely a good read, and I don't regret reading it. And it was cute for what it was. It could have probably been a little bit shorter, and she just needed to get it together a little bit faster for me. I do have two books that are in the same series. I didn't read them back to back, but I definitely suggest that you read the series. It's probably one of my favorite series that I've read in a really long time. However, I did the order a little bit backwards. And so let me explain that. So a few years ago, I read the book, The Happily Ever Playlist. I don't have the physical copy because I listened to it via audiobook on Libby. So I'll put a cover right here. But I didn't realize, because I was like new to like Bookstagram and all that it is a part of a series, which is from Abby Jimenez. And I think this was like her first series, and it's called the Friend Zone series. So the Friend Zone is number 1. And then the Happily Ever Playlist is the book 2. And then book 3 is Life is Short. Now, I will say I enjoyed it regardless. However, I did it wrong, y'all. Some people, this book is controversial, and I'll get to that. Some people don't read this book and they skip to the Happily Ever Playlist. I believe if you read this and then you read the Happily Ever Playlist, Ever After Playlist, whatever it's called, you will enjoy the series so much more. This book to me can be read standalone-ish. To me, it didn't have the same connection as those two books. I highly, highly suggest, even though this book is controversial or people have feelings about it, I think I appreciate the second book more because of this book. And now that I've said that, I suggest the series all the way around, but let me give you a little bit breakdown about each book. Again, I didn't read these in the correct order. I read the Happily Ever Playlist, then I read this because I knew this was before that book. And then for some reason I thought I already read this, and then I didn't, but it was on my shelves. So I was all out of whack, but let me go ahead and break down each book for you. So I will say, make sure you check out your trigger warnings for all 3 of these books. They deal with heavy topics, as I'm sure y'all are aware of. Abby Jimenez, hard-hitting emotional books, great author. So just check your trigger warnings just in case. This book in particular, I know everybody talks about it. I'm a little late on the train, but it is what it is. I'm sure there's some people that haven't read this book. This book is about a girl named Kristen, and Kristen, she's very to herself. She goes hard for her friends, but she's going through something personally that she's kind of keeping to herself. And that is the fact that, and this isn't a spoiler, it's literally on the back of the book, that she's having a big secret and that she's possibly facing a medical procedure that will make it impossible for her to have kids. Is helping to plan her best friend's wedding. And, she meets this guy, and I love Josh. Like, Josh is the guy that, she meets. And it's kind of like enemies to lovers, or even coworkers to lovers, because he helps her, with her business or whatever. She has a boyfriend that's like away in the military, and her boyfriend, she's kind of with him because he's like the perfect guy. He doesn't want kids. And the issue with Josh is he's fine, he's like all these different things, but he wants kids. And this book, to me, just was such a hard-hitting, great reading. Like, it's such a good book because it's realistic. And now let me just say, it's realistic to a certain extent, because the end, I can understand what people say about the end. However, the end aside, this is such a good book, and I wish I would have read it sooner. It is such a sweet, hard-hitting romance. I will say the same thing that I said about that last book. I don't like hard-headed characters. She is very hard-headed. I was like, girl, if you just don't tell this man what you have to tell him and all these different things, like, we're grown. But other than that, I rated this book 4 stars just because of the ending. I felt like it didn't need to go that route, but again, I'm not the author, and that's the route that she felt like it needed to go. And I definitely think the feedback that she got from this book helped her in the next few books. Um, so yeah, the friend zone, I loved it. Again, check the trigger warnings. Um, it was a all good, heartwarming romance. Rom-coms don't have to be just happy go lucky and everybody's just so happy and oh my gosh, blah blah blah. Real life stuff can go into these books and make it give you that emotional feeling and that tug on your heartstrings. Like, I could definitely see this series as, you know, a Netflix like series or like a Hulu series or whatever. Like, it's just that good. So yes, 4 stars, definitely recommend. Happily Ever Playlist though, 5 stars. I'm not even gonna tell y'all about that because you need to read this series for yourself. But I will tell you about Life is Short. Third and final book in the Friendzone series, which really, really saddens me because I just love this book so much. I can't wait to read the rest of Abby Jimenez's books. I have the rest up there, but I wanted to read this series first since this was her like first work. So Life is Too Short is about this girl named Vanessa, and Vanessa is just like, I don't even want to say down on her luck. She's just down on life. You know, her sister and her mother died at very young ages, so she's very concerned that she's going to have the same life. Because of this, she decides to quit her job and become like a famous YouTuber that travels the world. She lives on this premise that life is too short, that you need to live life to the fullest, and that is before she basically gains custody. Well, not gains custody, but she has to take care of her sister's baby due to her sister being addicted to drugs. Her life is very, very hard. Again, check trigger warnings. But her life gets a little bit sweeter and a little bit better when she meets this guy named Adrian. And Adrian is, I mean, at first he's like grumpy, but then like not really. But she is like the sunshine in his life. And it's hard to be the sunshine in somebody's life when you're dealing with so many things. I think they were the sunshine for each other's life. And when you're reading this book, again, you have the female that struggles with communication. And if she just, you know, explained to him a few things early on, maybe that could, you know, help with conflict. But either way, I love this book. 4 stars again. The whole series, like I said, y'all need to read it. But again, heavy real life, like, I don't even know, problems that, you know, everybody could be dealing with. But truly a great book and a great ending to a series. So I definitely recommend. 4 stars for the first one, 5 stars for the second one, 4 stars for this one. Amazing read. Make sure you check out this series. I'm so happy to finish it, but so sad that like it's done. So amazing, like middle way to June. And the next few books actually those 2 books were probably my favorites, but these next 2 books are a little unhinged, so we're gonna kick it up a notch. So this next book, y'all, is a little unhinged. So this book arrived on my doorstep like a few weeks ago, and I saw how thin it was, and I've been hearing about this author, and you know I need to support some Black authors, so I was like, let me read this book. And I went into it blind, which I'm going to let you go into it blind too, because it is unhinged. So it is called Dear Vicki by Octavia Grant. And truly, it is so short. It is not even 100 pages. It is like 81 pages. 81 pages of unhingedness. Now, this is like thriller, it's a novella, like very short read, but oh my god, everybody needs to read this. And I think it's on Kindle Unlimited. I don't even want to explain this to you because I mean truly you need to experience it for yourself. Either way, I'm gonna say this. It's about this guy named Andrew who works at a grocery store, and he falls in love with this girl, and that's all you get from me. You gotta You gotta read it. Like, check your trigger warnings. I don't think it was that bad, but definitely check your trigger warnings. It's definitely unhinged. It's a little sexy, so there's a little smut up in there, and then there's a little murder up in there. So just check your trigger warnings. But it's 81 pages, quick read. I mean, I ate it up. And it didn't take that long to read. And once you read it, you just can't stop. I think I rated it 5 stars, and I can't wait to see what else Octavia Grant has for me. Because, baby, I can't get enough. And like I said, I think her work is on KU, so I'm definitely going to be downloading more. Because I got to see what else she'd be writing if she wrote this. Like, this definitely could have been a longer book, but it didn't need to be, because she gave you everything that you need in these little 81 pages. So again, 5 stars. Let's move on. Next up, we have another unhinged book. And let me just preface this. I be buying stuff that y'all recommend all the time. And I don't really look too much into it or whatever. So I heard about this series, and then I saw there was a bunch of books. And then they were just always in front of my face at used bookstores or like whatever. So I think I have 5 or 6 of these books. And I'm like, why did I buy all these damn books? But again, we're trying to get through all these series. And at this point in July, I've read like 3 of them now. So I have 2 more up there that I need to get through. And yes, it is Ice Planet Barbarians. So I went from one unhinged book to the next one. And man, this book, first of all, I love how floppy it is. And if you are unfamiliar with this series, it is about smut, just pure smut, and humans falling in love and sleeping with aliens. And that is really all you need to know. Each book follows a different alien and a different girl. And if you read in order, then you see like the previous couples in like order. So like as they go, you see couples from the first few books and then the next couples. Like, so that's interesting to see like how the relationships progress. But this book was about this girl named Georgie who this is the book that started it all. So you see how they got onto the, well, you don't see how they got onto the island, but you see how they're like on this planet and they meet these aliens, and you kind of see like that they can't really understand each other, but you know, apparently they both like sex. And like, I don't know. Like, I truly don't know how to describe this book, because I was like, what am I reading? And how does this series have like 20 plus books? Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to read all of those books. I really don't even want to read the 5 that I have, but I have them and I pay for them, so I will. I will say, if you're looking for a good, smutty, good time, this might be up your alley. I think this is a little bit too sci-fi for me. Uh, I am trying to enjoy it, and there are parts that are enjoyable, but these could be little novellas and I would be okay with that. Like 22 books is crazy. So yes, I don't even know what else to say about this. If you like smut, big blue aliens, and you want to see and hear about, their PPs and, how they get down and stuff like that, uh, maybe this is for you. But this is a little crazy for me. Uh, so far, I think this is a 3 star. I do think I like the second one the best so far, but we'll talk about that next month. But this one got 3 stars. It was okay. Again, just really out of my element. And I want to get out of my element and I want to dive into like new things, but this is, I think it's a little too out of the world for me, if you don't mind me saying. So yes, so one more book after this book, and then we're gonna be done with our wrap up. All right, and the last book that we have is actually a YA book, but it is a little hard hitting, so please make sure you check your trigger warnings for this book. This book, again, I thought came in a series. I'm not exactly sure. It does come in a box set that I was sent from Get Underlined. So thank you, Get Underlined, for sending me these books. This one is How to Make Friends with the Dark. And I actually got this book the other day, which is really exciting. So, like I said, she has those 3 books. And then apparently in November, she's coming out with The Glass Girl. So I'm really, really excited to read this. I'm not going to read it until we get closer to November so that y'all can have access to it. But she thinks this is 400 pages. And I will say this author typically writes books that are heavier hitting. So please be mindful of that. These books are heavier topics that may be triggering or may be a little too much for you. So again, before you check out these books, while I have enjoyed them all, please make sure that they are appropriate for you and that you check out the trigger warnings. So this book in particular is about this girl named Tiger. And Tiger lives a difficult life, but a life that she appreciates. She has a mother that struggles in various different ways, and it's always just been her and Tiger. So they have a single mom household. It's always just been those two, no other family members. And Tiger is content with that in some ways, but in some ways her mom is very, to me, neglectful. I don't know if I'd use the word neglectful, but she's definitely manipulative. You don't get to experience that much of her because she passes away, but for what you see of her, you're like not very fond of her. Like I said, it's not a spoiler. She does pass away in this book. She gets a simple phone call one day, and it's like in a blink of an eye, her mom is gone. Tiger has never heard about her father, but as you know, she goes through the system of foster care and such, she learns a little bit more about her life. And this book shows the transition that she goes from losing her mom to going into foster care into how she deals with life after death. And this book is a very great book about grief. It's a great book about foster care, the dangers of foster care, all of those different things, and just dealing with life struggles, because everybody does handle them differently. I rated this book 4 stars. I loved it. I thought it was a very, very good book. Again, very hard hitting. But I do think that there are some young adult books that need to be hard hitting because life is not easy. So I read these books because there's somebody out there dealing with this situation, or there's somebody out there that needs to read something like this. And I just think that these books should be available to, our younger generations to understand that life isn't always sweet. This is how I ended my month of June. I really enjoyed it. I like YA books like this because, like I said, I'm a high school teacher. I like being able to recommend books for people, and there's certain books for everybody. And there's somebody that needs this book, to relate to it, or maybe they can understand somebody better through it. Like, Tiger's situation is a situation that many people probably go through and don't know how to deal with. She dealt with emotions and difficult situations that she had to navigate as a high school student, as a 16-year-old girl, 16, 17, whatever she is. And I think that this author does such a great job at hard-hitting topics, but getting the point across and making great books. So I definitely suggest these books. Again, check your trigger warning. So these are the 8 books that I read in June, and I'm pretty happy about it. Typically, I've been reading, 10 books or whatever, but I am content with how much I read, and I am very, very pleased with the amount of series that I've either come close to finishing or the amount of series that I have finished so far. I can't wait to hear what you all read in June, and I can't wait to share so many new things with you. I have so many ideas for videos. Again, so sorry that this has to be so brief and quick, but I have to get ready to leave because I'm going on vacation. So I hope that you all have an amazing rest of your week. Please let me know what your favorite read of June was, or if you have read any of these books and enjoyed them. So I will see you. I'm Gary dropped this big stack of books. So I'll see you all next time. Bye. Cause you ain't never talking loud and you know plenty. You know what I'm talking about, cause you just